Basically, they asked a really interesting question. They said, what if you are printing your own statues, or what if you are making your own and somehow they screw up? Like, is it disrespectful to try to get rid of them, or like what happens? Like, for example, this one, you can see the hand is kind of severed from the side there. This one was sent to me, um, and it already arrived broken. So obviously, if you can't repair it, uh, there are several options. You can, like what I do, is I have made a listing that says that these parts are broken. So take them or leave them, because sometimes what you consider not good, somebody else will take. They'll be happy to take, especially if you post it for like a discounted price. Um, you can try to recycle parts. Um, of course, you can get a hold of your community and see if anybody wants it, even though it looks messed up or it looks broken. You can always ask to see if somebody wants it. Um, you can, I mean, if you can't do any of those things, you can also bury it respectfully, of course. Um, but I wouldn't throw them in the trash. I wouldn't. That just seems kind of rude to me. I would first and foremost see if somebody else wants them. Because you never know, whatever it is that you have, somebody else might need. Like, for example, people's sides break all the time, or the hands break, or the globes break, and you might have a piece on there that they can recycle, you know? So, yeah, I would reach out first. Post it on Instagram, post it on YouTube, um, post it anywhere that you can reach out to people and ask them if they need it. And another question was, and this is a good question, whether something is what you think it is or if it's something else, kind of like in disguise, or I guess you could say like a trickster, or trying to figure out, is it really what I think it is? The best solution that I got was put it to the test. Um, I know it's hard, right? Like, it's hard to trust yourself, and it's hard to, because if it's like your first time and you don't have any experience with a particular spirit or a particular situations, like what do you base it off of, right? It's hard, and I've had a few experiences of that on my own. But I think in my experience, in my um, moments of, uncertainty, I just put it to the test. I I arranged to have it give me signs, or to have it tell me certain things that only maybe me and it would know. Um, like a questionnaire, or like things, tasks that that only it can do, and it basically like has to prove itself. Uh, that's a really difficult situation, because this is the spirit world we're talking about. Like it's not really a calculated science, you know, and that's why a lot of us are left so confused. And a box was falling. We're left so confused, and we're left like looking back at in retrospect at things like, maybe that wasn't what I thought it was, and sometimes it's not. But you know what? In those situations, I try to think, did it help me? Did it get me to where I needed to go? Did it put me on the right path? Did the ends justify the means? So whether or not it was really what you thought it was, try to, it's hard to, but try to put that logic aside and think, is it helping me the way I want it to help me? Is it being what I need it to be, even if it's just for this moment? Like, say, for example, you're trying to contact, like, say, one of your ancestors, and instead you get, like, some random spirit. But you're trying to contact that ancestor because you want them to give you insight on a certain situation. You end up getting the insight that you need, and you confirmed it, and it was what you were looking for. So you ended up getting what you needed to get anyway. So does it matter if it was the right one? You know what I mean? Like, it kind of, it hurts our ego because we want to be certain. We want to have control over matters, and we want to have definitive answers, and that's understandable. But I think in those situations, it's very, very difficult sometimes to tell. Time and experience are your best allies. They're the only ones that are giving you your guarantee, basically. So I hope that answers your question, and I hope that that helps. And whatever spirit you're trying to contact, I hope that the actual spirit shows up to you, and that it gives you the insight that you're needing. Okay. Okay. Somebody also asked about how I feel about a journey with necromancy, and that's always something that I've been interested in. And it all depends on damn hair. It all depends on who you talk to about what their definition of necromancy is. To me, the definition of necromancy is communication with the dead, or death. Yeah, just communication with the dead. I was gonna say death spirits, but that's something completely different, in my opinion. Um, I like it. Like, I think that it's a worthy study. I think especially if um, you have questions about the afterlife, who better to ask? But I think that the study of necromancy has changed over time, and people have really put a different emphasis and different methods on it. And technically there is no one way, but you have to realize that back in the day when people were doing it, I mean, they were going full bore. I mean, they were making sacrifices, and they were literally exhuming people so that the actual corpse would basically do the talking, or they were using the talking tables back in the day, where the tables would levitate. Um, then later on, of course, came different forms of divination, channeling, uh, just various ways. But I think nowadays the majority of people mainly use like divination tools, and they erect an altar to the dead. A lot of people do that, or they do their work in the cemetery. They try to make friends with a spirit from the cemetery, or there are religions that have involvement with communication with the dead, by possessing actual human bones. There's just like so many different ways, and that's always been a subject that I've been interested in, and would eventually pursue. But that's something that you have to take your time with, is what I'm learning. You have to first develop your abilities. Like, you have to be able to hear and see and feel the not just this physical world, but the other side too. You have to be able to do all that. Like, how are you going to be able to discern what you're dealing with, Like, that's how I see it. I think that mediumship is very important when you're talking necromancy. I think it's probably going to be the easiest and most impactful way. That's my opinion. Can you talk to the dead through Ouija board, through tarot cards, through dream divination, through tea leaves? I mean, I'm sure you could. especially if the spirit was versed in those methods. Sure, I don't see why not. But I think that the best way is probably tuning your psychic senses and probably using, you can either use a black mirror or an obsidian mirror, or you can use just like your own channeling methods, a Ouija board. I personally am not big on Ouija boards because they tend to really not work for me. Neither does dowsing rods, and neither does the pendulum. I don't trust any of those because either they don't work or I don't trust that it's not my, what do they call it, ideomotor reflex. Cards I'd be okay with, and but channeling is my favorite. So yeah, there's just so much to cover with necromancy. You know what? I have a book. If you actually go further into my archives, I do have a video on a book review regarding communication with the dead. And it was pretty straightforward, but it was very time consuming, which sometimes this is because you have to build. You know, you think of it like this: when you're born as a baby, you have to relearn everything. So when a person, supposedly, this is what we believe, when a person passes on, there's so much to contend with that they're having to relearn everything. So they might not have time to be doing this whole communication thing, or that might be all they want to do. It all depends. It's a very personal situation and takes a lot of work and a whole lot of getting to know the individual spirit. They're getting to know themselves. They're getting to know you. They're getting to know their surroundings, especially if they've just passed on. It all depends on who you're trying to contact. You know, if you can even get a hold of them to begin with, because there's no guarantee. Anybody that says that there's a guarantee that they get a hold of somebody, like boom, right off the bat, I don't know. I think it's a lot of times it's a shot in the dark. So, yeah. But I think it's a worthy study for sure. If you have any more questions, post them on the post on YouTube. It's kind of just like a text post on there. And I'll do my best to try to get back to you. Just keep in mind though, I'm on the mend, and so it might take me a few days, but I'll try to do my best to answer everybody and get back to everybody as quickly as I can. So thank you guys for your continued support and for staying around, sticking around, and being there through this whole journey. I know there's been lots of bumps and mountains, and it's been like a roller coaster ride, but we're back on track, and we're getting back to the essentials. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.